Alrighty, welcome back to the second episode of Talk Small Business to Me. I am super excited about this episode. We are talking with Sarah from Sally Snowdrop. Yeah, so cool. We're just going to be talking all things her journey with small business and then everything else in between. Let us know what you want to hear. This is just a cool space to kind of explore what other people in the community are doing, some tips, tricks, all those, all that fun stuff essentially. But yes, I'm keen. I hope you're keen. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. Alrighty, see you soon. Alrighty, so this is the second episode of Talk Small Business to Me, and we have the amazing Sarah, also known as Sally
Hiya.
Snowdrop, joining us today. It's super exciting. We're just here to talk like small business and every fun thing in between. So
That's cool because people can't stop me from talking small business in my general life. So this is good. This is fitting.
this is a great outlet for you then. This is a great outlet.
Yeah. People who actually want me to talk.
No, 100%. Um, First up, what inspired you to start Sally Snowdrop? And can you share a little bit about your background and how it influenced your business?
Yeah. So the naming itself, Dearest Sally Snowdrop, has a lot of meaning for me. And it kind of is the basis of who I am in my business compared to who I am as a person outside of my business. Um, my grandma calls me Sally, which is another old fashioned version of Sarah. And the morning I was born, the snowdrops bloomed in her garden. And Dearest Sally Snowdrop is how she starts every birthday card, every letter. We're pen pals, that sort of stuff. So that's where the name comes from. And from that is sort of where my ethos and values start and my brand personality. So everything can be quite boring and dull and sad and yuck. But in Dearest Sally Snowdrop, everything is heart warmed and heartfelt and family orientated and just warm and joy. So it was very important to find a name that suited my inner happiness like that, and that was perfect. And what made me start my business is I'm one of those people that started in COVID. I'm a COVID small biz. I was bored. I was stuck in home. Melbourne, we had I think it was like 9 months worth of lockdown and working from home and being isolated from our families and not being able to walk much more than 5 minutes out the front door for a good couple of months. So I think TikTok was also booming at the time, and I saw a lot of people playing with resin and polymer clay. And I'm a crafty person from way back. So I wanted to play with it, and I thought, you know what? I want to make money off it. I don't like having craft projects that sit there with no purpose. So people might like this. And I tell you what, my first products were really, really bad, but it's here. It's evolved to here now.
And like at the end of the day, it's like a process, and like you're just trying to like show an expression of your creativity and market it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's also been like an opportunity for my creativity to evolve as well. So the art that I'm doing today is completely different to the art that I was doing when I was a kid or even 4 years ago. So it's given me a chance to really have that purpose to refine it, if that makes sense.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's expand on that. So, like, the second question I've
Mm,
got is like, what challenges did you face in the growing of your business, and how did you overcome them? Whether
mm.
they are present challenges or whether they were like early challenges you might have seen.
Yeah, I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome, and comparing myself to other people. Like I said, I saw the boom of TikTok happen and everyone playing with resin and finding their little style. And I just saw the medium and wanted to play with the medium, and I didn't have a style just yet. So the imposter syndrome of everyone making these beautiful sage green and gold polymer clay earrings. Why can't I do that? Well, that's not my aesthetic. Like, this is my vision board here, which is a tool that's helped me. Um, when I was struggling with imposter syndrome early on, I actually had a piece of butcher's paper. I love butcher's paper. I love brainstorming butcher's paper, but I had it on the back of my craft room door and I wrote, these are all the things Sally is. And I wrote down colors, aesthetics, feelings, animals, motifs like mushrooms and like all of that cutesy stuff I wrote on this board. And so whenever I saw someone doing something new and I had that FOMO of, I want to be doing that. And then I had the shame of, well, I can't do it as good as that person. I went back to my board and I go, oh, that's why I can't do it. It doesn't fit in my vision. So, imposter syndrome and comparing myself to others was a big one. And then thinking I had to have it all the answers straight away. I threw myself into learning about small biz. Um, and I went through a little mentorship, entrepreneurial mentorship. And I felt like I needed to have everything that they were teaching me down pat and implemented, like blogs for SEO, um, and implement it straight away. But that's not the case. Like you can be doing it, there's no rush. You can be doing it as you go and developing those things as you need them. And I still only have a couple of blogs because I was told I needed blogs, and I don't know if I'm going to be doing more, but who knows?
I think it's important to like obviously like skill development is massive, and I guess like you're kind
Mm,
of saying like you're all about like that growth and stuff like that. But it's also is
yeah.
so important to like stay in your lane. Like there's going to be so many things around you and it's can get a
Yeah.
bit like disorientating. Um and it's
Yes.
just like at the end of the day, like no one's expecting you to be another product of a different business that's already out there. And I think that's the beautiful thing that you said. And everyone loves butcher's paper. Like, why don't we all have little motifs about ourselves? And I think that's a great
I
like
reckon just our personal motifs, yeah?
oh 100%. Like I feel like I need that reminder.
Yeah.
Like who is Trista? Like because like
Yeah, and just put it on a wall that you walk past, and every time you go, you pick another word as you like walk past it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I like sparkles. What of it?
yeah, exactly. And for you, that's really been able to be like, okay, like this is me. Now, like, how does that manifest as my business? How am I going to create something I'm not only like proud of, but represents me as a person and like a
Mm.
unique, yeah, a unique facet of myself, my business, everything in between, you know? I think that's very
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, something changed. Something changed when I put that board up, and I still wasn't doing what I'm doing quite what I was doing now. It was still a little bit open slather for the theme of my products, but they got much more me after I did that. So something happened when I put that butcher's paper up, and it helped not only my internal feelings about it all, but then also my products as well.
Hmm. Yeah, and like, so my next question, okay, so let's just clarify. This word is squee. Is that it? Squee. Is that how I say it?
Yeah, have you
I've
never heard of squee before?
I feel like I've heard of the expression, but I was like, squee, like, because when I read, essentially, the question is for those listening,
Yeah,
it's how do you ensure that your products maintain the squee factor you mentioned in your mission? So when reading over like your little like mission and values and everything like that, you mentioned squee, and it's just like this
yeah,
feeling of excitement, like joy, like like that.
yeah.
That's what I get from it.
Yeah,
Um,
it is exactly that. And have you ever
okay.
heard of cute aggression?
Yeah, yeah,
Where you see a cute bunny and they're just so cute, you just want to eat it.
yeah.
Like that's sweet. Like that, like I think I grew up on Icon has cheeseburger. I don't know if you've ever heard those words in a sentence before. Okay. Man, I've grown up on a lot of things, but
Yeah.
Icon has cheeseburger in particular. It's all funny memes before memes were a meme about cats.
Oh, I
And
love
like
it.
it's called Icon has cheeseburger because there's a picture of a cat and says Icon has cheeseburger. Um,
Oh, love.
it's so left of field,
Oh,
but I think that's where squee came from, like um that cute aggression. To me, like this is going to sound really. I can't think of the word of what it's going to sound, but like there's this thing that happens to me, like it's a physical feeling. And I don't know if anyone else, I'm sure there are people out there who are weird like me, but when you see something so cute and something that makes you so excited, you can feel this like rumble in your stomach, and it just sort of like bursts through, and it starts
It's
in your
almost
tummy, and you're
guttural.
just like, oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's not like, grrr. It comes out, and it comes out like, and it's just like this this force field, like this forced bit of like happiness that comes out of your stomach. Like that's how I feel when I see something cute, or like pastel colors or rainbow colors or sparkles. Like I just like it just makes me so happy. So that's what squee is. Squee is kind of, it manifests with people coming into the stall and like, oh my God, you've got Buster. No one ever draws Buster. No one ever has Buster. And Buster's like a Vizsla, their dog that they've had for 13 years, that they can't ever find any Vizsla themed products. Like it's that kid that goes to the $2 shop. Not that I'm comparing myself to a $2 shop, but that kid that goes to the $2 shop and sees the pencil case on the spinning rack that finally has their name. Like I want to be that for people with their pets. And that's that just pure joy. Squee. I can't believe you never heard squee.
Well,
Oh,
I've never had the
but you
squee
got it.
factor with
Nail on
my
the head.
name. I've never had it with my name, so maybe that's why I've never experienced the pencil case. It's a
Yeah,
journey.
man. Well, yeah, it is. It's a journey. Ah, scrubs. Yeah. Oh, that's going to happen a
So,
bit.
yeah, for
Sorry.
sure. No, you're so fine. So, I mean, like, besides going that like extra mile kind of thing and really like being thoughtful, how do you how do you feel like that your products like resonate, that like that is your mission and that is like your goal? How do you feel like you get there? You know?
Yeah, I was trying to work out how this would come out, and I think the best thing in my power, it's more of a process thing, I think, and then my interactions with people on the day when I'm at an event or a market. Like there's a whole heap of Sally is a different persona to Sarah. Like she is the most sparkliest, most happiest, warm and fuzzy part of me internally, but I actually have an outlet to be that person, because people want that. So I make sure that my interactions on the day with people, when they're, oh my God, you got Buster, is the utmost Sally they can be, so that they feel warm, they feel energized, they feel magical, they feel whimsical in my stall. Um, so I think a lot of it comes within my interactions with people and my customers, my return customers, and people who have never met me before in my stall. But then also process wise, going back to that, I draw everything myself. I've got an iPad Pro, which has changed the game for me and my art and my skills and my processes. That's my favoriteest tool I've ever bought. Cricket can stay in the corner, iPad can come out. But I don't use the Cricut anymore. So I used to.
Ooh, hot
But
take.
I make sure. Yeah. For me, like, because I didn't end up making any money off the stuff I was making with it, because I'm just not that good at it. I still use it for stuff, but anywho, side quest on that one. When I'm drawing my next dog, so I've got a list of breeds that I've got to do. As soon as someone mentions a breed, I'm like, I'm going to write that down. Um, I make sure I'm in the right headspace for it. There is a lot of damage that can be done when you're not in the right headspace to create, especially in art, and you force yourself to do it. So I really focus on making sure I'm happy, I'm inspired. I know this sounds so woo woo, but I think that then comes into my drawings. I think I can be more efficient in my drawings. I can then put the sparkle in the eye because I got the sparkle in mine. Ugh, it's so cheesy, but it's very much about it's, it's very much about my headspace going into the art. Much like, oh, I was just gonna. not compare myself to Picasso. That sounds so up myself. But the theory, not the art, the theory, like when he was in a bad state, all the moody art, and that's what we love him for. Like, that was his headspace. My headspace is joy, so I gotta be in a joyous headspace to be able to create joy. That was a
No,
long
I love
answer,
it.
but
No, I love it. I think like
yeah, I think
so.
it's
No, you go. Sorry, my bad.
go. Sorry, no, I'm interrupting you.
Oh
Spoken
no,
a
not
lot.
even. This is a conversation. Um, I there was a couple of things that I thought when you were talking.
Mm,
I There's a real emphasis on like human connection, and I think
yes.
that is something that goes a long way, particularly when we're talking markets, right? Human connection is going to be the difference between you selling your product and you not.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
all people want, like all our deep desires are, is for that human connection. And someone's more likely to buy something based on how you engage with them. Oh, like I really like
Yeah.
that market stall holder. Like, I think I'm gonna like support them. Like, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
those little things. And I think it's really cool that you mentioned that because I think that is so important because sometimes, as brutal as it sounds, your products are not going to sell themselves. You're going to
No,
have
they're
to
not.
you're going to sell them. Like why is yours different from the other? Um
Yeah. And
so
what is the problem that I solve for you? Like, how can my product solve your problem? If we're talking real business terms, like, what's my avatar's problem and how do I solve it?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then you also went into like your creative process and being in the right mindset for it. Um,
Mm,
that kind of goes into our next question, which talks about creative processes. But I kind of wanted to go into it. How do you separate, I guess? So you work as well. So you're full time
yeah.
working, and then you've also got your
I work
business
full
as well.
time in the Yeah, I work full
Yeah.
time in the disability sector and
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have for 15 years.
Yeah. So, how do you manage? Because that's a very common thing, right? It's like small businesses, like
Yeah.
a lot of people are working as well as like running their small business. Like there's multiple like balls in the air, like we're juggling them. And so, how do you keep that creativity
Mm.
alive, I guess, in terms of like creative process, as well as having like this other like life where it's like your other work life and then also your just personal life. How does that all balance in terms of your creative processes? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'll start backwards
Okay.
because I think it is downtime and not doing anything and making sure that you recognize the signs of burnout. And I know this is all sounds like everyone says this, but recognize those signs and making sure that you are allowed to have a night off. So, my husband and I have another small business that we come to Aussie for, and what we juggling work, like our actual full time employed jobs, our home life, our animals. We don't have children. We have German Shepherds and a cat that's staring at me evilly from the fridge at the moment. And we have each other, we have our family, we have our friends, we have our health. There's so many, so many, so many things. It's recognizing when you need to just sit on the couch together and do nothing and don't talk. And we're getting a lot better at communicating our boundaries on that. If we've got a million and one tasks in our head and someone says, hey, when we got a chance, can we talk about blah? Mm-mm, I'm running at 100% today. I can't add that to my list. Can you schedule a message to come to me in 2 days and we'll talk about it? So it's really making sure that we communicate that sort of stuff. Um, in terms of creative process, it is very much when I'm in a headspace, and it just happens that I'm in a headspace a lot. Um, I find, weirdly enough, I find my best ideas come when I'm just waking up for the day. It's like that half awake, half dream state. and I'll have this idea pop into my head, and I'm waking up formulating that idea into a thing, into a product, into a service. I I need a rest.
It's like shower thoughts.
But by the
Yeah.
yeah, shower thoughts, driving thoughts, toilet thoughts, it's like dream state thoughts. And by the end of that day, with work in there as well, I could be at work with a little notepad and writing down like Sally ideas or moose and dog woodworking ideas or whatever in a notepad so that I can get it out of my head, put it over there, and then focus on work so that I can come back to that later and I don't lose that thought. And by the time I get home, the drive home, I've created the social media graphic in my head, not while I'm driving. And then by the time I get home, I can put all those ideas straight into Canva, and I've got a fully fledged idea just by waking up with an idea and um, coming home and doing all the graphics. So I tend to get very excited and very inspired and very energetic, and with that, I work a little bit fast and I just get stuff done. But like that's a me thing. That's how I operate. So I can't really use that as advice to other people. But my advice in all of that is no matter how you operate, communication with the rest of your life is big, boundaries with the rest of your life is big, and giving yourself breaks is big. So they're my sort of three things of advice. No matter what the circumstances of how other people work, they're universal. They're going to help and be needed by a lot of people. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and this is just like kind of like a side quest off that because I really just want to
Oh
know,
yeah,
to be honest. So
squirrel. Yeah.
yeah, what's your favorite product you've created and why?
Um, the coloring book.
Mm.
I like you were saying before, human connection is a big part of Sally and what I do and my mission and all that sort of stuff. Um, I've dealt with pretty yucky social anxiety in the past, and Sally, the persona, she's like my Sasha Fierce. You know how Beyonce turns into Sasha Fierce and she goes out on stage and she can perform. Sally was a little bit of a costume at the start, until I realized that actually, no, that is just me, just uber me and genuine and 100% real. Um, so this human connection has helped me formulate the Sally brand and the experience. And that has then helped me with my, I'm coming to a point, I promise, my social anxiety. And then that's me not wanting to be isolated from people who I connect with. And people who I connect with are people who love their animals and they love coloring in and they love being together and doing a group activity and being a part of something. Like that was me the whole time with this social anxiety. So the coloring book started out just as I've got all this artwork and I would love to put a coloring book together and sit down and do my own coloring. It's now turning into this tool for connection where I it's like so many people have this coloring book as well that they're all sending me pictures of their coloring in and I'm like, oh my god, look what this person's done, and oh, I love what they did with the bones and the hot dogs or whatever. And now it's sort of in this way where I have this thing, and it hasn't taken off quite yet, but I'm working on it, where I have these color cubes where they're color palettes cards, and I do a color tarot pick. So if people want to be sitting down and doing a comfy coloring sesh, which is what I'm calling it for my mental health and my rest days, I'm picking out, like on a video, picking out coloring themes and giving it to them. So it's bringing people together in that way. So I think the coloring book is definitely my favorite because it's that tool for that connection. Um, and the breaks. I love coloring and not thinking about anything else that's around me.
No, for sure. And I think what's beautiful with, particularly with what you do, is that you resonate with your target audience, like, and that's how you're able to like foster those connections as well. So, and I think that's like what you're saying. Like, you saw something that like you wanted to do and like something that helps you, and you're like, okay, how do I bring this and then make it Sally Snowdrop? And I think like that is what you're doing well. Like, you know your
Yeah,
target
thank you.
audience because you are your target audience, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think at one stage, like I wrote down target audience avatar is, animal lover, overweight, crafty, and I'm
You're
like
like,
just describing myself.
yeah. But
Check,
I love
yeah.
it. At
Um,
least you know.
but it,
Like,
yeah, and it has evolved from that. It has evolved from that. Like
mm,
I've been surprised when I've had men come into the like big burly men going, "Oh my God, I love your stuff. Do you have any pit bulls?" And I'm like, "Of course you want a pit bull. I don't yet, but I'm gonna write
I'm
it
surprised
down
it's
and
not the
I'll like on my
Chihuahua.
socials." Yeah, that would be funny. Actually,
I feel
I
like the
I would
big
actually
burly men
enjoy that.
always have Chihuahuas. Like, I just, it's
Yeah,
always the small dogs, you know? I feel like I never see a
I
big burly man with a big, like, Rottweiler. You know what I
big
mean?
scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually love that juxtaposition. It's funny you should say that. I did art through high school. It was my thing. Maths and me is a no-no, and
Mm-mm.
history and me is a no-no, but art in English I love. And I remember my nana telling me about this story about a big, tall, like really tall, lanky guy walking this little tiny dog down the street and everyone laughing at him. And I use that as my um subject for my year 12 art project or whatever. So I've got all these paintings somewhere of this big tall man and little tiny dog, just like, and everyone laughing at him. So yeah, I love that juxtaposition of like the tall and the little.
Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
Um,
such a fun
so
visual.
no, 100%. So obviously we've talked so much about like community and all that sort of thing, and like
Yeah.
totally like your target audience and um who your avatar is, I guess, like, and all that sort of fun stuff.
Mm.
So how and what role does like markets have in your business development? How does that like separate you from like one business to another? Does that make
Um, I used markets. And at the start, I had one of my really, really good friends helping me for my first, I don't know, she came to 20, 50 markets, or I don't actually know how many markets I've done. Probably not that many, but like for the first teething period, she was there. She was like my support person and helping me do the setup because there's a lot of work in a setup, especially if you've never done it before, and playing with your setup and all that sort of stuff. So I needed her confidence to give me confidence. And I knew she supported me wholeheartedly. So when I was apologizing for my products and discounting my early products, like my early first things and my display, like, oh, yeah. She was sitting there going, no. Sally makes all of these by hand. These are all made at her home. Like she's learned how to do this. These are all handmade. You're not going to find these in Kmart. And people are like, oh, okay, yeah. So markets, once I got through that initial confidence barrier, um, which my friend helped me with, my very good friend, um, markets then evolved into a almost like market research. I know that sounds pun. Um, but I learned from hearing what customers were saying, what they wanted. I also heard what was important to them. So when my friend was saying, Sally makes all of these by hand, these are all her own designs. Like, so I knew that that was important to people, is your own unique take on things, which tied into the imposter syndrome and all that work I was talking about earlier. Um, so I knew that. And then I could also hear what people were wanting. And that's how I've eventually evolved into the dog breeds and the cats and all of that sort of stuff that I do now. Um, but it also gave me a chance to display my products and work out that display is also very important, which is where our other business came in and the need for that, because I needed display that was more eye catching, more professional. And once I started displaying my products like they were important, they became important. So markets really helped me with that. And that sort of tied into product photography and how you speak about your products in your product descriptions and all of that. So markets were a real big learning area for me for those sort of things. And then also finding out who your peers are, seeing what other people are doing, um, seeing how many of the same thing gets put into a market. And a lot of people talk about, oh, there were 8 scrunchy stalls and now I don't want to go there anymore. And I mean, that's on the market organizer, but it also gave me a chance to look at everything else that was there and what everyone else was doing and go, okay, I'm going to be different to all of those guys. And again, that's where the evolution into my products came. So markets were a big growing thing for me in knowing where I wanted to go and still sort of learning. But and now I know that I don't want to, I know which ones are my markets and where I need to target, and I don't need to do markets every weekend at the moment because I've got other things that I'm building in the background. And I know that I need to target those markets that are pet orientated or a little bit different or in different areas to test where, like, expand where my customer range could be and test places like Flemington and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a big learning curve doing markets for a lot of different reasons.
And like at the like you kind of mentioned about it. So if you don't back your products, like you're your biggest advocate, you know, like you
Yeah.
understand your products like inside and out. If you're not like backing it, why should other people? Um, so I'm
Yep.
really glad you mentioned that. I think you briefly mentioned it, and we've kind of got it in the questions, but um, so you're talking about like the community and like I guess like who's
Mm.
even at the markets. How? What advice would you give to like small business owners looking to network with in their community, whether that be like markets or just like general like networking?
Mm. I think we're a very supportive bunch. There is a minority of us out there who aren't. Um, I don't like really focusing on the negative. I try and stay out of it because it doesn't sit nice in my stomach and I get yucky feelings from it. I feel a lot in my stomach. But um, I think my advice would be find your own voice and find your own joy in it. If you love what you do, you'll do it more. And finding your own voice and your own unique style will set you apart from those other 7 scrunchy stalls. And there are people out there who do scrunchies beautifully and they're self employed and they're on my vision board as part of where I want to be. So I'm no way, shape, or form attacking scrunchie makers because like literally pedestal kind of levels of
Yeah.
goals, um but see how you can be different. um and if you're talking about networking, and you mentioned it earlier, stay in your own lane, um is a big thing. You don't want people who have a lot of energy for it and a lot of drive and get up and go, but they're modeling their business off other people's businesses, or um, modeling their products off other people's products. And I think I think there's a terminology that's sort of floating around at the moment, especially on TikTok. Talk about, I need to get off TikTok. I doom scroll way too much, but
No, for sure.
about get about gatekeeping. And I I know that there's a lot of people for and against gatekeeping, and it's kind of like sharing sharing. I think there's a difference between supporting someone and supporting them to find their own voice and giving them advice, or being there as a sounding board or helping them brainstorm or whatever. There's something different between that and sharing your intellectual property. So I've spent a lot of time developing my products, finding all my findings and trying to find the best price. And I will continue to do that because I want to bring my margins down and all of that sort of stuff. But I've done the work. I've spent the hours to do that. I've got my databases on my computer. I've got my suppliers. I've built my relationships with my suppliers. That's all my intellectual property and my work done. So if someone new on the scene is coming through and saying, "Hey, I really like what you do." Oh, thank you. No, that's really cool. I'm loving what this is starting out to be. Oh, can you please tell me where you get your blah, 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 and blah? And how do you do da, 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 da? Like, there are people out there who do that. And then they're probably the people as well posting the videos about gatekeeping. Well, how about you're in this world to have a better life or whatever your motives are for being in small business? You're going to learn so much more if you go through the journey yourself and you develop your own intellectual property in that space. You're going to know like you said before, you know your products inside and out, and you can back your products and you are proud of your products. I've got that because I've done a lot of work on them. But if I had to ask someone, "Hey, where do you get your blah?" I wouldn't have had that much like hands on in it, and I'm not going to be as proud of my product. I don't think. So
Yeah.
I think like don't yeah, I think my advice is find your own lane in this, find your own joy. Um, yes, reach out to other people for support and help and find yourself a mentor. But don't expect and don't demand hard work just be handed to you and then shame those people because they're protecting their own hard work. I think that's something that I'm noticing a bit at the moment.
Yeah, I think like there is a fine line. I think like it's
Mm,
so important because it's small business is like there's it's another world, right? And only people within small
mm,
business are going to truly understand the struggles, the journey, and all that sort of thing. So there's so much to say in supporting one another, and there's so much to say in that to do the hard yards as well. Like it's not always going to be easy. Life is not always easy. So it's important having
mm,
that balance and like there's going to be people that are going to have a lot more wisdom than you. So at least my impression of it is reach out and if someone gives you wisdom, like listen to that wisdom because like they've done it, you know? And I think what
mm,
where this toxic gatekeeping is kind of coming in is because
mm.
people will share that wisdom and then people are going another way and then it's kind of gone like fallen flat on the head and now there's all this like amazing advice that is just like what was the point kind of thing. um and I think there's not it's not I think gatekeeping might not be necessarily like the right term for it, but I think like protecting like you were saying that intellectual property and like
Mm,
protecting like your assets with it as well, um
mm.
rather than like gatekeeping, which is like you're not allowed into the space, like this is like all
Yeah,
me kind of
yeah.
thing. um
And I think, yeah, I think there is definitely that gatekeeping attitude out there. But when someone wants to protect their hard yards, that's not gatekeeping. So don't
mm,
be throwing that accusation around and slandering
yeah.
other businesses because they've not just handed you information on a silver platter.
Mm,
Um, but offered, like you said, wisdom in other ways. And if you're not going to take it, whether it's right or wrong, or, it's just that anecdotal things of what I've learned and what's helped me and what didn't help me and that sort of stuff. If you're not going to take that and you just want the silver platter information, I don't think you're in the right space. or
Yeah.
you need to learn a little bit, or you need to grow up a little bit, or yeah,
Yeah.
it can get a bit hairy out there, and it's not stuff that I like to talk about because it's not the stuff that sort of sits with my brand either. In being talking about toxic stuff, it's all like pink and rainbows and sparkles and
Yeah, for sure. But there's always two sides of a coin, and I think
mm.
it's I had a point and it's just like fully blanked. But
Oh, sorry.
essentially, no, not you at all, just my brain. Um it's important, particularly when it's like similar products as well, where it's like,
Mm.
so for instance, like obviously we do like candles and all that sort of thing. No one's going to give the entire list of ingredients for their candle or their soap or whatever, because someone can just replicate it. And it's just that same sort of premise that no one's like, that sort of thing is what someone else has
Yeah.
formulated, gone through, tested, and that's
Yeah.
works. So and
KFC. KFC. Like Red Rooster doesn't know what the 11 secret herbs and spices are.
no
And
kidding.
Red Rooster's not going to the Colonel and saying, hey, mate, squawk.
Mm, yeah.
What's that 12th one? Oh, hang on, there's only 11. What's the ninth one? We can't work it
Yeah.
out. We demand. Oh, how dare you, Colonel, not tell me
Yeah.
the oregano.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna take a quick detour, and I just yeah, exactly. I think I want to know about like what are your like short term, long term business goals, and how do you plan on like achieving them? Like, what is the next journey?
There's so much. There's so much and so little time and so much excitement and so much energy for these things, and I want to do them all now. Is that a good enough answer? I've got specifics. I've got specifics. So, um, short term, I am working on releasing very soon. I have released it to some of the core people that have been with Sally to begin with because I wanted, um, they're the kind of people that I have had feedback from and listened to feedback, and they're the guys that have helped me with my confidence and all that sort of stuff. Um, so I've released it to them first. I'm doing a paint your pet night. And whether it's just the one or multiples, but it's something that I'm starting now to lead me into one of my long-term goals. So I want to get the community side, the crafty community side together. I want to be with my people. I want to bring us all together, and I want to have this sort of energy. And what topic your pet, like, who doesn't want a painting of their pet that they've done, that they've had help to do with pretty flowers and stuff? So that's a short term goal. So I have some of my products into it in a little shop down here in Pakenham in Victoria, the Shop of Little Shops. And they have a little craft space. So I'm going to trial it there, but I'm also going to offer it in people's homes if they wanted to have a birthday party or whatever. Um, I've spoken a lot about this because I'm really excited. It's the first thing in my head. But that's one. I've got some medium term goals. We're working on moving my craft room from one room to the next because the next room is bigger and we don't have kids and we've got a 4 bedroom house. So why not?
Why not?
So there's some yeah. Why not? There's some renos going on for that. But I'm going to set it up in the hopes of doing YouTube. So I want to play with different crafts because I love getting something new and trying to work it out. And I work it out by seeing it and by doing it. So I thought people might like that. So I want to trial that. Um, Longer term, sort of mid-term, longer term, I want to drop down to part-time in my job and then quit my job. I love my job. I love the people I work with. I've grown up there. I started when I was 23 working in residential services, and I grew up doing that. So, like, I learned all my domestic stuff from there. I'm very loyal to the people that I work for and my team. I'm very happy at work. So, the thought of leaving work for something that makes me even more happier is a beautiful thought rather than leaving work because you're burnt out or you don't like the culture or whatever. So, I'm sort of working on that with the hopes to build Sally a few other avenues up and Moose and Dogwood working to be our full time and be full time self employed for both of us. And then long term, buying a factory, like a real estate, commercial real estate, and kitting it out to have the woodworking workshop in there, a little boutique shop of people, small businesses that I know, to have their little wares in there, maybe a little coffee shop in there, and like craft station where we do craft. So I have my own space to do craft workshops and stuff. So I think small business, full time self employed is different to self employed or employed by someone else. Employed by someone else, you have one role and you have all your KPIs and tasks within that role, all your responsibilities. Self employed, you have multiple roles and multiple tasks, and you've got to think of multiple income streams to be able to make up a full-time wage. So that's where my brain has gone, okay, YouTube, classes, woodworking, I'm looking at doing a graphic design course because I want to help people with their branding. So there's a lot of stuff on my vision board.
Yes, so
A
cool. No, I love it. And I think like
lot of stuff.
yeah, and I think it's like the difference is, right? Like we can all be dreamers. Dreamers are, it's we
Mm,
love dreams, but it's like the ambition to actually do it. And I feel like you've got like this real drive to actually see it succeed. You know, like you're taking the initiative to make those steps happen. And I think that's quite beautiful. And I think
mm,
like that sounds awesome. Like coffee, like crafts.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sign
And
me
I've got like,
up.
well, you have to move to Melbourne or visit Melbourne, that's fine. But oh, I could travel up to you guys.
Oh yeah,
Anywho,
a pop
um,
up.
a corporate, like art craft day.
Sounds
But I've
great.
got all of these ideas for like it being um like a social hub with
Mm,
craft as its core. And I've got all of these ideas for craft nights and days and people that I want to support, like school programs. And I want to bring my disability background in. So have activities for people with disabilities
mm.
and then adult nights, not so much adult nights, but maybe adult nights. Who knows? Like
Like wine and
there's so
crafts.
many
Yeah.
yeah, or maybe more than that. Like I love the idea of um, I love the idea of craft speed dating. So I want to. No one steal that. Copyrighted, Dearest Sally Snowdrop. Don't take it. It's mine. I licked it. It's mine. But yeah, no, I love all of that sort of idea, and I think um, the more I delve into it, the more I talk about it. I think one of the biggest, not a brick wall, but slow to come to the table was Moose. He has now seen the light and he now sees how and I think he's gone through the whole same thing about imposter syndrome and
Mm,
product confidence and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sitting here going, nah, we're fine, we're good, because look at this. Meaning I've gone through that journey already and I've got the confidence for it. Anyways, he had to come along but he's now when we're self-employed rather than if we get self-employed I don't know how to do it but now he's spruiking it's like a virus he's spruiking the small business passion to other people what you want to do a business all right Sarah knows how to brainstorm she's got butcher's paper come over so
it's the butcher's paper.
it's good I
Yeah.
bought a roll of butcher's paper and I've got a long dining table and I want to like, meow, and all the texture. Yeah, that makes me so happy.
I
So
love
now
it.
he's got that bug
Yeah.
and now we're just two people just like, oh, small business. Let me tell you about our small businesses. It's just, yeah. So now he's up to speed.
Mm,
The momentum is a lot more. When I was sort of pulling him along, going, no, 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 it's all right. I promise. I've tested the waters. It's okay. Come with me. Trust me. It's all right. Let's go. Come on. He's now, all right. And we're skipping through the woods into small business land. So
yeah,
it's
I love
good.
it. Small business land. What else would you want? I think that
Yeah.
actually leads into my very last question. And so, what do you enjoy most about being a part of the small business community? And anything kind of that vibe.
I have no words now. I think I've said most of it. Like it, it's helped me with my social anxiety. So I'm now my 100% me. Um, I love that I have this outlet for my passions. I love that it's helped me find the people who are weird and quirky and a bit too much. Like, well, no, not a bit too. I know we're not a bit too much, but what people would label a bit too much. I've found those people. So we can squeal and skip and squee when we see something cute and celebrate those wins with each other like wholeheartedly. I think that connection and passion and being yourself and joy and purpose and passion and a whole heap of other buzzwords. It, it's where I was meant to be. I'm good at my day job, but I'm better at this, and I think it's where I'm meant to be. So I found my place, if that my home, my little home. I love it.
That's so cute. I love it. Amazing. Is there anything else you want to add? Is there any little like pockets of wisdom or like anything? Is there anything you want to add? You don't have to.
I would love to. I think I've spoken a lot, and I can't think of anything new. um, nah, just if you've got a hobby and you've got a drive and you've got the ability to make it yours and your own, do it. Don't be scared of small business. It can be as big or as little as you want it to be. Like, it doesn't have to be take over your whole world and you become self-employed with a fully fledged dream like that. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be something that you do on the weekends because it brings you joy and you break even, and that is totally fine. Or you could go whole hog, and you can if you want. If you've got the drive and you've got an idea that's 100% yours and solves a problem for someone, just do it. Like, just start.
Yeah. It's all about just going for it at the end of the day. Like you got to just
Yeah.
jump in, both feet. Just give it
Yeah.
a go.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, just do it. Just jump in. Just do it. Just jump.
um, that's it. That's it for our questions. And just gonna do a quick little outro. But thank you for joining the
Ah.
last little, well, the second episode of Talk Small Business to Me. It was so much fun. We had a blast. But yeah,
Yeah,
tune
that's a
in
lot
next
of
time.
talking, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah, it was just like a good chat, Um, we love talking small business. We love chatting to you guys, and we love giving you little tips and tricks. So make sure you tune in to our next episode. Um, anyway, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
Bye.
me. Bye.